Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited because today's guest is Barbara Beckley. Barbara is a successful professional speaker, best-selling author, and professional coach with more than 7 years of experience. She has the ability to help you find the diamond inside of you and help make you shine. She is skilled in helping people create an online presence so that you are seen in a professional way on all social media platforms. Barbara is the founder and CEO of the Diamond Factor, LLC. She helps people to understand their purpose, passion, and drive, and to move forward despite the trials and challenges in their life. So welcome, Barbara.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
So here we are. We're starting out a brand new year, which is always exciting. And I was reading a little bit more about your background, and you talk about purpose, passion, and drive. So can you tell me a little bit more about what that really means?
Yes. So I always tell people we should have a foundation in our lives to move forward in whatever's going on. And I found that foundation I call it the PPD, your purpose, passion, and drive, the PD. And you truly need to understand what's in your heart. What is motivating you? What is there that deep down that really says, I am here for a reason? I always tell each and every person in life that we're here for a purpose. You just wasn't just like amazingly put on this earth and say, okay, you just stand there or sit there or whatever. You basically on this earth because you're a tool in an area of what your gifts and your talents are. So I tell people that keeps you motivated when you know your PPD, because when things happen, you are standing on that foundation like, okay, if I'm a coach, or if you say you're an author or a speaker, or maybe you might be a teacher. It depends on what your talents and gifts are, and that's what the real thing is. And what motivates you is to move you forward no matter what's happening around. I always call the earthquakes and storms and everything, the pandemic, if you want to say that too. That's all around us. But in here, it really is important to understand so you can move forward and move those things around us away.
I would say that 2020 certainly has been a year where a lot of people have actually said, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Because our whole world was all shaken up. I wanted to ask you, obviously developing and finding our purpose, and all of us have our stories that sometimes, and I think it's funny because sometimes things that happen to us, we don't realize that they are as important in our path as they are. So can you address that about how do we understand how our stories are guiding us to who we're supposed to be?
So our storms, a lot of people, when they go through certain challenges in their life, and we all do, I always tell people that you can make a difference between saying to yourself, I'm just going to just let this thing just take me over. I'm not going to move forth. Okay, I'll just use an example. A certain person in your life might have died that's really special and close to you. So that might stop you from everything because now you're really mourning and you're thinking of this person. They're not in your life no more. And you're like, I can't move any further now. They were here for me. They're not here. What am I going to do because they're not here? And I tell people, instead of looking at it in a sense of being kind of a victim of the circumstances, as you kind of hear that a lot, you want to be victorious in it and you want to move forward by having it a stepping stone of a learning technique in your life. A stepping stone, I call it a stepping stone of strength. And it moves you from saying, you know what was me to, well, wait a minute. This happened first because I believe it's going to strengthen me once I get through it. Like some people say, you're going to go around it, over it, or it through the storm. And you get through that. And then you say, wow, I did it. I'm here. I'm still here. I'm still able to talk and speak to everybody. And then the awesome thing about that is once you go through that storm in life, you give other people hope that is watching you deal with it. So that's why I love telling all my stories. I don't have a problem being so vulnerable because I feel like that's a connection for somebody out there that might need to see what they might be going through. And if Barbara went through it, or, anybody else, that they're able to say, well, maybe I can get through it too, because she got through it. And that's why I said you understand more of the process of life when you go through those storms, those hurricanes, I say, in life, because you're moving through it and you're saying, okay, this is not just for me anymore. I always tell people when I'm dealing with something, anytime it happens to me, I said, this is not just a Barbara thing. This is Barbara to get through it so I can be an impact for others so they know that they can get through it.
I think you're right, because if I think about some of the things I've gone through, it used to be a joke at work. Whenever anybody had a problem, they would say, go ask Tammy. Because I had gone through so many different things. They knew that the odds were that I would have some idea about what to do in their particular instance. And I think about that sometimes. And the truth was that almost everything that they needed help with, if I hadn't gone through it myself, I was able to point them in the right direction. You talked about the stepping stones of strength. And I know that all of us, we have different talents and gifts within us. Like, for example, mine is to figure stuff out, right? That's one of my talents and gifts. So if you're looking for that purpose and passion and that drive, how do your talents and gifts show up? How do you find them?
Well, I always tell people, I said, it's a process. It's a process. As I mentioned, when I mentor others, what I tell them, what I usually do is I say, first you need to find out what you really, truly love. When you wake up in the morning, what you think about, besides maybe eating breakfast or something. You want to think about, okay, I really like to teach children. And I'm just using it as an example. I really want to just see them grow. I like to see the aha moments in their face when they're learning different things. And when you go to bed, you're still thinking about that. So you start writing down things in your life that really excite you, that motivate you. And it doesn't have to, and money doesn't motivate you to do it. And I always tell people, when you can get up and you can go to sleep and then you'll be like, you know what, I didn't get paid for this. When you think about where you can work on something for 5, 6, 7 hours a day, and you'd be like, it passed, 5 hours passed, and I'm still doing this. That's when you know that's where your true gifts and talents lie at. And then also I tell people to start it in a journal, write down everything. And just little things, like if you like to organize, just the little small things. Some people are awesome organizers and they become like managers and leaders to help people move forward in what they do. So I always tell people, don't just look at it as, well, I like to clean a lot, but that might be a gift, a talent of yours to help somebody else in some other areas. So I always tell people, don't take that for granted at all. And then from that, you want to make sure that even through any tough times, you still have that talent, that gift that's shining in front of you. It's like that little, like the light at the end of the tunnel type of thing, I call it, where is, you know what, I love doing this and I don't care what's going on around me. I still like doing that particular thing.
I'm kind of chuckling to myself because you were using the being organized and cleaning as an example. And that is not my forte, but I do know people where that really is where they shine. They are able to look at, let's just say, a huge mess, and then they can just doop, 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 1, 2, 3, organize it. So yeah. There are people who have all those different gifts. I was intrigued by your brand, the concept of the diamond factor. How did you develop that, and how is it relevant to me and other people?
Well, thanks for asking, Tamara. Yeah, the Diamond Factor LLC. I always tell people there's a story behind it because they're like, where did you get the diamond from? Just because it's pretty and shines? I'm like, no, there's a deeper story with that. So at the age between 6 and 8, it started where I was very heavily bullied when I was in school. People used to basically say that I was ugly, I was stupid. They didn't. The kids would tell me, these are children telling me this, saying that they didn't understand why I was going to school because I wouldn't amount to anything. These were children telling me this every single day in my ears every day. And it took one. It always takes like that one teacher or that one person in your life. And I always tell people, look for those signs because you do have those angels, I call them, in life that comes to you when things are going a certain way. And they would bully me every day. So I would come home crying, just crying. And my dad, because he worked early mornings, so he would be there in the afternoon when I came from school. And he would always give me this really big bear hug. And he was like, what is wrong, Barbara? Barbara, what's wrong? And I was like, they keep talking about it. They keep bullying me. They tell me I'm not about nothing. They say I'm ugly and they say I don't know, at that time. He's like, I want you to remember one thing. And he said, I'm going to remind you this every single day, that you are just a diamond in the rough and you're getting molded. And some things are going to happen where it's going to be really hurtful sometimes, but you're going to become this beautiful diamond that's going to shine within not just yourself, but everybody else around you is going to see the radiance of that diamond from you. And I was like, and the only thing I said at that time, because I was younger, I was like, oh, diamonds are pretty. that's the only thing I can think of is, oh, I like diamonds. But, I really didn't understand too much until he passed away. And so with the bullying, it happened for a while, but my father was the person that always was putting all those positive words in me to keep me moving forward. I became, because with a lot of bullying, you become either you're going to say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to give up on education, or I'm going to say, no, I'm going to put more into it. And that's what I did. I studied really hard. I was really, I was trying to be the A student all the time and everything, even through all that going on with me. But my dad was the one that always reminded me. So at the age of 17, when I turned the age of 17, my father basically passed away. And he passed away. He was murdered. So at that time, talking about the storm, that was a huge storm in my life. But I call him my rock. He was my diamond. So I call him my rock, and to the point where I lost it so much when I found out that he was murdered. And they basically had to take me to the hospital and put me on a two-day suicide watch because they really felt that I might want to be taking my own life, which at that time I was thinking about it. I really was. I was in the room thinking about it. But another, like I said, looking at the people around you, when I was in that bedroom and I was laying in the bedroom because they gave me some, things to calm me down and everything, because I really got really excited, hyped up and just upset and everything at my house before they took me to the hospital and was scared what I would do. A nurse came into the room and she looked at me. She did my vitals and everything. And she was like, I don't know what you're thinking about right now, Barbara. And I know that somebody in your life passed away, but something is telling me that they would not want you to take your life away, because it's something in me saying that you're like, she said something about it. She said, I don't know what's coming in my mind, but it's like a diamond in the rough. When that was stated, everything in me that was telling me maybe I should just end it totally changed. It was just like something in me here and in my brain, everything just clicked, because that was the sound of my dad telling me that you're a diamond in the rough and you're going to be a great big diamond, shining diamond when you get older, and people are going to see that from you. You're going to resonate with people. You're going to help people. And at that moment in time, that's what I told myself, that I have to make sure, not just for me, but everybody that might be getting bullied out there, everybody that might have lost somebody really close, anybody that's going through anything, to let them know that they have a diamond in them. And that's why I called my brand and my business a Diamond Factor LLC.
Wow, that is pretty amazing. And I know that was your dad. He was like giving you the code through that.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I mean, I could not just say, wait a minute and just keep thinking what I was thinking. That just, turned the tide.
That was definitely a big message from your dad, because isn't it kind of interesting how the nurse, it's kind of like she didn't quite know what to say, but she just said what came to her to say. And there it was, something that you would resonate with and really understand. So, yes, you certainly, I would say the death of a parent has to be one of the big storms that you would go through. So if you were to give somebody some steps, maybe 3 steps, that positive actions that they could take to get through some of those storms and hurricanes, what would they be?
Well, I used to have, the 3 steps is really understanding your PPD, but I did really think about this more and more as I was going through, not just that hurricane in my life, but others that came afterwards. And I said, one thing I'm always talking about is building your strength, the stepping stones, of strength, the stepping stones of moving forward. I thought about, okay, build. We have to build that. So there's 5, I did an acronym of build. So I have for B, I have, believing in yourself and being bold in yourself. I said, one thing we have to start with, we have to believe in ourselves. Everybody else can sit there and tell you, oh my God, Tamara, you're terrific. You're wonderful. I love you. But then if you don't feel that way, then it really is not moving you anywhere. You're kind of like, oh, okay. Thank you for telling me that. But no, you have to say, you know what? You're right. I am awesome. I am beautiful. I am smart. And a lot of people look at when people say that and they're really bold in it. They were like, well, they're so arrogant. No, it's them reminding themselves. And you have to do that with a mindset, because people are going to say all the other, I call them the gremlins in your back of your mind. They're going to say all that. And then you have to say to yourself, no, I had to believe in me. If no one else believes in me, I had to believe in me. So I use the B for believe and bold. I use the U out of the word unique. Every person, just like I talk about the gifts and the talents that you have in you, every individual has a uniqueness about them. I can't be you right now. You're in your genes. You're in your awesomeness, Tamara. I can't be you. And you would want to be me. I would want you to be yourself, because you have something that is going to resonate with so many people out there and impact them. Just like my uniqueness is going to resonate and hit other people in their lives. So I say the U for uniqueness. And then I say the I, invest. We have to invest in ourselves. And I'm just not talking about paying a coach to coach you. I'm talking about investing in what you're listening to, what you're reading, the skills that you're taking on, that you're adding to yourself. So I use the I for invest. And then L is for listening and active listening and learning. I put active listening in there because I can sit there and talk. And then a certain person talks back to me. They're trying to give me some maybe information, some feedback. And I'm so busy waiting for them to stop talking so I can say what I have to say. I know a lot of people like that, including me. Sometimes I did it where I'm like, okay, I hear what they're saying, but I want to say what I have to say. I have ideas. I have thoughts. And then you miss it. It's like you miss that moment of genius from the other person because you're so busy, not listening actively, but just like, okay, come just get this move out the way so I can say what I got to say. So that's why I always tell people, no saying goes, that's why you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you should add to listening. And then, with the D, I'm sorry, with the, I hope I didn't miss it. Yeah, invest, and L, learning and listening. And then the D, let's say for Bill, is direction and development. Understanding where you're going. What steps do you need to take to get you to that next step? And I'm not saying take the small steps. A lot of people are like, well, I want to be, a TV producer and do all this. And that is awesome. And I want you to be that. But what steps do you have to take to get to that point? Everybody, we have our squirrel moments, or we have that, oh, well, she's doing it and I need to do what she's doing. Or he's doing it. He's doing that. He's there already. He's showing up all over the place. Okay, you're not him. I'm not her. So you have to make sure that you develop a plan, an action plan, a direction for your life, for what you're trying to do. And don't try to run somebody else's race. You have your own development that you have to do. So I said, I use the acronym BUILD because I feel like that is something, first of all, I'm always talking about, building, strengthening the stepping stones of building your strength. And I feel like we need to really hone into those 5 aspects.
build really does make a lot of sense too, because when you believe in yourself and you're unique and you invest in whatever it takes to get somewhere. And what was the L again?
Learn, and well, I say active listening.
Listening, because you're absolutely right. I think of all the flaws most people have is that they're so busy trying to come up with a response that they don't even hear or listen, like what you said. But I really like your develop and direction, because you're absolutely right. You have to have a direction and a plan in order to get from point A to point B. So you've taken everything that you're working on, your purpose, your passion, and drive, and created the Diamond Factor LLC. So and you're using that to help people to focus on their social media presence. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I do two things. Well, first, on an umbrella, first I help people and coach them how to really dig deep to find what their purpose, passion, and drive is. Especially women. I resonate to more women because of a lot of things that I went through as women. That's women's stories in the lives. And sometimes when you're trying to move through life, and maybe you've been in corporate for a while, or maybe you're at home with the kids and you're like, okay, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. I just lost myself. I really don't know what my really purpose is. So I come in and be that little cheerleader, that mentor, that coach, and say, let's talk, let's get together. And so that's one part of the Diamond Factor. The other part, I noticed that on social media, it's really important to have your messaging, have who you are, from just not talking to somebody. But in social media, you're talking to everybody in social media because it's social media. So if you're not messaging yourself, they don't know who you are. If you're not believing who you are and not putting it out there on Facebook and Instagram and all the other platforms, then people get confused, especially people if you're looking for potential clients or business partners. So I told myself, I could take this concept and help the business women to really, really just get really deeper into what their social media is about. Get a strategy going. See, a lot of people just like to throw things on Facebook and say, okay, hopefully they come and they engage with me and they become my client. And it's not all, it doesn't go, there's everything. I always say there's a step to everything. There's a strategy to everything. So I come in as like the social media content strategist, and I take, okay, who are you? Let's see what you do. What is your business? What do you offer? Have you heard the pain points of other people? What is your messaging? And I do all that, and I help them through their platform.
That is really important, because even though I've been involved with social media a long time, I sometimes get tired of, sending them my message and end up, hey, here's my cat, because it is something that you do have to develop and put together a plan. And what I see most people with social media is that they don't have what I would call a continuity or consistency. They understand they need the message. They understand about branding, but then they don't use and leverage some of the really good stuff they have. Like they don't leverage their podcast interviews or their TV interviews, and they just do it and they want more and more and more, but they never repurpose any of the stuff that they could be using for a long time to help build that foundation. So I'd say that what you're doing is a very much needed service to help people to, buckle down. And when they do understand what's underneath everything, what is their passion, their drive, their purpose, then everything they do, it makes sense to do whatever they're doing. So that's really important. So with that, in your opinion, why do you think, or out of the purpose and passion, what is the most important thing for people to think about when they're trying to develop that consistent message for their branding and marketing?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing, like you said, I love you mentioned repurposing because that is so important. But yeah, the biggest thing I would say is people need to ask and seek some questions. Because I always start with, okay, before we even talk about your branding right now, before we talk about anything like that, let's ask you some specific questions about seeking your purpose or making sure you're on your purpose. Because some people be like, well, I know my purpose, partner. I don't need to talk about it. That's okay. Well, and because I do a social media audit. And I say, well, sometimes I look at their social media. I'm like, well, your social media is not saying what you told me what you are. So let's kind of ask some questions. So I ask questions like, what have you been happy, the happiest thing in your life? What made you happy than anything in your life? What made you happy, the happiest? They're like, that's a question. They say, well, I got a lot of things. I said, well, I mean, what was like the thing that is like till this day, you could just think about, oh my God, when I discovered a certain product or whatever it is in your business, what made you happy? And then what made you truly proud, of yourself, of something that you did? So these are questions that I kind of bring up when we're talking. And I ask them about the qualities. Who admires you? What kind of qualities that people tell you? Like, Tamara, you are awesome. I love how you do podcasts. I love how you interview. You're just amazing. So when you hear that a lot from people, that's kind of telling you you're genius. Because if people can see it more than 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, I tell people, then that you need to listen to those people because they're telling you some things that's quality that you have that you can use for your branding. Because I said a lot of times people will tell you who you are because how they work with you, how they see how you do things, how you act. So those are the type of things that I start off with when I'm working with them through getting their branding out there in their social media.
So ask them the right questions. And you're right. Sometimes it is interesting when I'm talking to someone and we'll be talking about something and all of a sudden I'll say, oh, well, here's some ways that you could make money doing what you do. And I'll go, bloop, 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 like name off 5 or 6 things and their eyes get big like and they're like, oh, I never thought of that. And I just kind of think to myself, well, gee, it's so obvious. But that's what we have to learn is that the things that we see may not be what other people see. And sometimes we do need that reflection from other people to tell us what our big strengths, like you said, what our strengths are. So you ask these different questions. So you've had quite a bit of experience now with people and with helping them find their purpose. What are some of the aspects that will stop somebody right in their tracks from either accepting what their purpose is or even seeing their purpose?
Well, the 2 things that I have seen a lot by talking to people is doubting themselves, and fear. I always look back at, when I was younger and the things I went through with my dad and the school and everything. And I would always say, well, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can make it all the way into high school and get straight A's and be an honor student, which I did. And I'm proud of that because through all that crap that we always say, I still made it to that point. And I tell people, I said, you have to continuously, and I give them to one thing I always tell people, if I want to tell you something, I want to make sure I can kind of give you some feedback or tools to help you. I don't want to just say, well, it's down yourself in fear and then leave it there. Well, if you're doubting yourself, that's a mindset thing that you have to work on. And you have to do affirmations. I love affirmations. I always tell people, please, every day. And sometimes it depends on how much you're doubting yourself, how many affirmations you need to do. Because some people ask me, well, should I do it once in the morning or do 3 affirmations in a day? I said, okay, if you're really truly down yourself, you need to do morning, noon, and night. Morning, noon, and night every day. And they're like, oh. And I said, repetition is the key. So if you keep telling yourself and look in that mirror and say to yourself, I can do this. I know I can make it to the next level in my business or in my personal life. I know I can be that author or speaker or whatever you're trying to be. You have to, that doubt will come in a heartbeat. I call them like I said before, little gremlins in the back of your head saying, can't do that. I don't know why you say you can do that. But when you keep saying to yourself over and over again, no, I can do this. I know I can. And if I can't do it, I want to find somebody to explain to me how to do it. And that's what I tell people. Don't just always, sometimes we get into ourselves and then we stop right there because we feel like, well, I doubted myself. I said, I can't do it. There is so many other collaboration and people that you can talk to get the insight, and you can work with them, and they can be like, well, you're just missing this and this and this, Barbara. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I talked to you about that. Now I know I can move forward. So it inspires you to motivate you when you talk to others. Just don't think you're on your own island, I tell people. And then fear. That, everybody said, I know a lot of people are like, I'm just fearful of everything. I know a cousin of mine, she is fearful of everything. And she hasn't moved from where she's at in her business at all. She's staying in that one little, even through this whole pandemic and stuff, that really got her fear. It just took even a double take of fear in her mind. And I keep telling her, I said, but you know what? How about if you do something and it does work? Just taking that extra step to say, you know what? All they can say is, I always tell people when you ask a question, like, all they can say is no. And then you just move forward to the next level. So taking that step, not looking at the results so much, just do it. Just take it. Just take that move and say, you know what? I'm just going to try it. And what can happen? You're in the same place you were before. You just try something different. So yeah, I see doubting yourself and being fearful is the two things that can stop you from moving in your true purpose.
It's interesting because a lot of times you get stuck or burned out, and I think that is a time when you are stuck or feeling burned out. That is the time to say, what is it really? Is it doubt? Is it fear? What is really happening? We're talking about affirmations, and my favorite one is real simple, and I just say I'm a magnet for all things good, and something about that, it just makes me feel kind of protected, and that good things are being attracted to me, and it's very simple. But I mean, I'll be driving down the road, and I can imagine if anybody was ever watching me and I'm going, I'm a magnet for all things good, as I'm driving down the road. I bet I've had some pretty strange looks, but what are you going to do?
Do it for yourself.
What you have to do, and you have to, like you said, you have to believe. It's the first part of your build. Is you have to have that belief and be bold about it within yourself. So you talked about journaling and you talked about affirmations. What other tools would you say would be important for finding that purpose and that drive?
Well, I would tell people, start the process again by asking those questions of what's your interests are. What's your beliefs and what's your value? Because something that you might value, another person might not. So you have to know what you value, because what I tell people, when you have those three things, what your interest is, what you truly believe in, and what you value, then when things are coming your way, it's like a boundary thing. Like, okay, well, I know my value is this and they're doing something different. So that's a no-no in my book. Or I believe in something. This particular, it could be a person, place, or thing that doesn't believe in what I believe in. So then I have to move forward somewhere else. So that automatically creates boundaries for you, because it's telling you, well, that's not going to resonate with me, because that's not what that's not in me right there. So why am I going to go that route? And that's not my belief. And just a prime example. Okay, I know some people like firearms. I hate to bring that up, but they do, because they make it safe for them. They feel like it's a safe place. Well, I don't believe in firearms. I don't even want to see a gun. Even when I see a TV show or an action pack, I like the action pack, but when they start, shooting, I'm like, ugh. So I wouldn't want to even have a gun around me. So why would I go to a rifle range, or why would I talk to somebody who has a gun and say, okay, we're going to go, deer hunting or something like that? No, that's not my belief. That's not deep inside of me. So that gives me those boundaries. So I feel like when you're going through looking for searching at PDPD, you have to know what your beliefs are. You have to know your values. You have to know what interests you. Secondly, going back to affirmations, and we know how important that is. Find those affirmations that's really going to stun you. And I like what you said about the magnet. You need to make sure the affirmations are really drawn to you. If somebody tells you, well, you just say, Barbara, you love yourself. Well, at that point in time, that might not really put a hold on me. Okay, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. But if I say, I am awesome and speaking because I'm an impact in the world, then that resonates with me because that's something I really like to do. So if I say that every single day, it gets in here and then it gets in here. I always say it goes to in your brain and then it goes to your heart. When it gets to your heart, it just stays there. So pick those affirmations that's really going to resonate, that you're going to be like every day, like, yes, I feel that way, till it just sits in your heart. And then you want to create a personal mission statement. I always tell people, companies have their mission statement. They have their values. Each and every one of us as an individual should have our own personal mission statement. We should, and once you put that together and you really dig deep on what's your mission statement, because that's part of your PPD. That's your PPD right there. Then you place it everywhere that you need to, on the refrigerator, next to your laptop, in the bathroom, because you want to constantly remind yourself that when things go the way they go in life, and we know things happen in different ways, that you still know what your personal mission statement, you know what that PPD is in your life. So that's what I tell people to do as well.
That's interesting that you talk about the personal mission statement. Just the other day, I was watching the TV show The Prophet, and they were talking about, it was Bentley's pet shop and they had a mission for their store. And that was how that mission statement was how they chose all the products for their store. It's how they made all of their decisions for that store. And I remember it was a really interesting episode because the guy, I can't think of his name, the prophet guy, he was literally repeating that mission statement to them in like every episode as they were trying to choose new products. And so I can really see how that personal mission statement is really important. And then the other things you said that I think are really important, when you talk about those values, and I know a lot of times people try to skip all of this work. And they say, oh, I want to just skip. I want to be a coach, or I want to sell this product. And they skip all of this work about what are my values, what's my personal mission, what is my purpose, my passion. Because like you said, if you don't have something that really fires you up and makes it so you want to jump out of bed in the morning, no matter what the circumstances are, like, it could be a normal year, non-pandemic or pandemic, you need to have some reason that you're going to get up and keep moving forward, the big why. So I think that's important. I wanted to ask you, where can people go to get more information if they would like to contact you to work with you or to get more just basic information about the Diamond Factor?
Well, everybody, they can contact me at my email, showyourdiamond@gmail.com. With that, I welcome people because I do interviews with people to make sure that they shine like a diamond through their business. And I help them with their PPD, social media, whatever you're looking for in that aspect. You can just email me at showyourdiamond@gmail.com.
Well, I like that. Showyourdiamond@gmail.com. Also, before we started talking today, I asked you, I said, oh, do you have a podcast? You said, well, I actually have a TV show. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Oh, boy. I'm like a little kid in the candy store when I talk about this show. So it started a month and a half ago because I'm always looking for ways to help women get more exposure for their businesses and for any special cause that they're talking about. So I signed up with E360 TV, and they basically host under TV streams. And I think it's like I know there's a lot of them. There's like 8 or 9 different TV streams that they stream, like Roku and Apple TV and Apple Android and some other ones. And they just, I think, signed on with iHeartRadio too. So with that, I was like, yes. And the first thing I thought about is I can bring more people and interview people so people know, and I can have them shine like diamonds through the TV stream. So I started two months ago. I just received, because every month I receive a report from the president, of the E360 TV. And he said, Barbara, I cannot believe it. Within 3 weeks in December, you have 21,000 viewers. I was like, okay. First I was like, are you reading the right report? Then I had to remember my affirmation. Remember, Barbara, you said you're going to be awesome and amazing and wonderful and help women. And so I just took it in. I said, I know I have those viewers. So that's just believe, again, just a little tip to still believe in you, even though sometimes you're like, whoa, is that really? So I'm very happy that I was able to get on that platform to move forward, to just help. Like I said, I always want to create an impact to help others so they know people understand other people's PPD, as I call it.
Wow, that is a really phenomenal upswing in just a few weeks. And what you're really saying is when you have this vision and your personal mission, it's like you're a magnet for all things good, right? You start to attract things and you're able to create things. So who are your guests on this show?
Usually I have certain, like I call guests, I think of it like an Oprah thing. I'm using like an Oprah where she has like her Dr. Oz and everybody, some people that come on automatically every week or something. And then you have like I bring in special guests to come in. And a lot of times the show is based on just bringing awareness, bringing just educational, business wise, it could be personal wise, and just really just focusing on people's passion, purpose, and drive. So I like to bring in women and men, because on that show, I upped a little bit. I said, okay, I'm going to let the men in too. I love the men too. So I do have some men that come on and they're experts. They talk about your personal branding. Another expert talks about your value, and he equates it with gems. And I love how he does that, because he knows I talk about the Diamond Factor. That's my brand. And he basically says each gem means there's a story behind each gem. And I love how he puts it, because there's a story behind each person. So he equates that to say, okay, each gem has a story and they go through, but look at how much they shine and look at how bright they are. Same with you. You go through certain things, but you're a gem in who you are inside of you. So he teaches that. And then I have other people come talk about mindset. So it's a lot of different personal development things that I like to bring on the show. And then sometimes I come on and we just have fun. We talk about things like this other day. We were talking about, what do you like to do when you were younger, when at Christmas time? Did you like the snow? Did you not like the snow? Did you like snowball fights? So it's a variety of things. But the biggest thing I want to make sure is that the impact is people are noticing what I call all the time, these diamonds that a lot of times you might not know. And I want to bring them on the show and say, hey, you're missing out on this diamond. So that's what I usually do on the shows.
That's really phenomenal. So do people apply to be a guest on your show?
Yeah, they do apply. And what I do is I kind of just see what's going on today, because I come on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I kind of see what kind of the theme it is. I usually like to look for a lot of people that are either, helping others. I interview a lot of authors, speakers, professional speakers, coaches. A lot of them come on to the show and then they talk more about what their genius is. And I'm really looking for a lot of other people too, to talk about more of the awareness, what's going on around us too. I mean, with this pandemic, a lot of other things were brought up, some kind of ugly things that I hate to mention. But it's here in the world. I had some few people come on, talk about, racism in the world that's going on right now. And that's why I talk about the awareness. So I'm looking for a caveat of different type of individuals. So, but I do, kind of look to see what they're about, their bio, and make sure it kind of fits with the program.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's important for people, especially, since your background is in helping people to use social media, that they recognize that social media is not just Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram. It actually now spans, like you said, these television systems. Now you might find yourself on Roku or Apple or in any type of live streaming. And so people should be aware that there are people like you who have these programs open, and that's another possibility beyond the traditional, local television or the local radio stations, that you now can not only do podcasting, but you can do the television programs, and there's just so much out there. So
other options, opportunities.
So it's really cool that people can do that. So before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to remind people about?
Well, like I always say, is make sure that you are being you. And we make mistakes in life because we see so many, we look around us, and some people might be a little bit ahead of the game or whatever you want to call it. But you have to be who you are, because it's so important, because a person, an individual out there is looking for you to help them impact in their own lives. And I want to just end it with this story. I posted something 3 months ago on social media, and I talked a little bit about what I went through when my father passed, and I was talking about suicide. And I said how I struggled with that, and then the miracle of this nurse came in. And I posted that post out there. And I said, you know what? I want to be, like I said, I want to connect. If somebody out there needs to hear this, somebody out there hopefully needs to hear this and help them. So 5 days later, there was, my post was shared. You know how on Facebook they share it, then they share it to somebody else. It can be shared. You don't even know where it's sharing anymore because they share it out to, whoever, to the point where I don't even might know the person. Well, an individual messengered me 5 days afterwards after I put that post out. And it was a young lady. She was like 17, 18 years old. Now the same age I was. And she said, Barbara, I don't know. There was a friend of whoever, and I received your Facebook post. And I was about to end my life at that point in time. She said, I have a knife. She said, she explained to me. And she said, I heard your post. And I told myself, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I think that this is a mistake. And she turned her whole object of what she was going to do and said, no, I want to live. And I'm telling you, that put tears in my heart so much, because I told myself, I didn't put that post out there and tell my story so I can connect, it wouldn't have reached out to her. And then now there's another life that was saved because of that. So understanding who you are, how important you are, and how much an impact that you can put on somebody else is so important, especially now in this day and age. So I leave everybody with, please understand what your PPD is, because it's so important, because it's not only just for yourself to know who you are and believe who you are, but you are helping and saving lives for others.
Wow, that just really proves the point that you just never know what something that you do, that you're going to change someone's life, and that you are truly someone who's making a big difference. So Barbara, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Thank you. It was an honor. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. So everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.